You're tuned in to BTS, Between the Sermons at Northwood Christian Church, where we gather for conversations with each other, answer your questions, and open the curtain to who we are beyond Sunday mornings. We hope you enjoy.
Hello, church. Welcome to episode 11 of BTS. It's been a little bit since we've done our last recording, but we're excited to get back in it. And the reason we're able to do it again is because of the person sitting next to me. We wanted to introduce to you, church, Joel Brock, who is our new, what is your title?
I am the Media Supervisor.
Media Supervisor. Very good. And how long have you been in the position?
It's probably been about a month and a half now.
Okay.
Time's flying by.
It is.
I got here around the end of March is when I started.
Very good. So, church, we want you to get to know Joel and know more about him because his work is so important. In fact, one of the things we discovered when we were in between having our media and video tech folk, or person, I should say, is how important they were. And so we're excited to have Joel on board. We're excited to work with so many volunteers. You've got great volunteers.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And if you want to join our team, I'm going to do a little shameless plug.
Yes.
Please reach out to me anytime. Email me, talk to me during a service or after a service, and I would love to have you be a part of the team. It's not as scary as it looks, I promise.
Yeah, it'd be great, wouldn't it, to build a huge team of volunteers?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, Joel, excited that you're here.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then I'll go from there.
All right. Well, I am a born and raised Oregon boy. I grew up in Harrisburg, Oregon, just down the road, and that is where we're currently living right now. Graduated from what is now Bushnell University in 2010, and right out of college, about a month later, I jumped on tour as a sound and lighting tech for the African Children's Choir, and we toured the United States for about a year and a half.
And you heard about them because they did a concert at now Bushnell?
Yeah, so I was, they performed during a chapel service, and I was currently in the place where a lot of upcoming college graduates are, where I don't know what I'm going to do next.
Okay. So
And
you didn't have a specific sense of, I'm going into this, I'm going into ministry.
No, I didn't. I kind of thought that maybe, I have some family in California. Maybe I'll go down there, see what's going on with, if there's any music or any kind of jobs like that down there. And then when the children's choir performed at Bushnell, they announced at the end of the concert they needed sound and lighting people for their next tour. And I kind of thought, sounds interesting. So I filled out an interest card, and before I knew it, I was got a phone call, and they wanted me to come join them in North Carolina.
So did you have to raise your money for that, or did they pay you to do that?
Yeah, so we had to fundraise,
Okay.
and it wasn't a ton because actually what was nice was so we pretty much lived on a tour bus, and
that was fun.
That part wasn't so fun.
Okay.
But what was fun was when we would go to churches and we would stay at people's homes, which was always so. I think I had a Facebook memory pop up saying that we did like 200 and something different concerts.
Okay.
So that means we stayed with roughly 200 different families.
Wow.
Over the course of a year and a half. And so during that tour, we didn't have to raise a ton of money because people provide you meals and a place to stay. And at that time, my student loan bills hadn't started showing up yet, so I was good to go.
So my wife, Michelle, was in a singing group when she was at, I'll just stop saying now Bushnell, when she was at Bushnell, and she talks about homestays and how some were amazing and some not so amazing.
Yeah, the majority of them are good because I don't remember them.
Yes, you would remember the bad ones.
Most of the ones I remember the best were the worst ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have one that jumps out at you that just was like, oh my gosh, it's time for me to find another place.
Yes. So luckily we were only staying there for one night, so I just had to suffer for one night. But in Iowa, and this people still remind me of this to this day. It's been 6 years ago or so. No, gosh. 10 years ago. 12. Anyway, a long time ago. But in Iowa, we stayed with this family. And what we would do was, so it was chaperones. I was considered chaperones. We had to watch kids too, along with all of our concert tasks. And we got to the house with 2 boys. And I'm glad there was another adult chaperone there with me on this experience. So it was nighttime, and the people on the ride from the church after the concert back to their house, there was something, they were a little different. I mean, we're all a little different, but
sure,
they were a little different.
Little,
yeah,
more different.
Yeah, and it's fine. And we got to the house and getting ready. It was time for the boys to go to bed, and I told them to go upstairs, brush your teeth, use the bathroom, and come to bed. And then the boys come back down, and they're like, hey, there's no toilet paper. And I was like, okay, I'll go find some. So I went up, and I was looking through every cabinet in the bathroom, and I couldn't find any. And so I went up to the host family, and I said, hey, do you have some toilet paper? I can't seem to find any. And she goes, oh, we don't use toilet paper.
Okay.
And I said, okay, what do we do? And she goes, oh, we just use these. And they were washcloths.
Oh.
And then you would put them in a bin and they would wash them in their washing machine.
Okay.
And if you do that more power to you.
Absolutely.
But then the next night, oh no, we stayed there 2 nights because then I had to go to the church and take rolls of toilet paper from their bathrooms.
You stole from the church.
I asked the pastor first. But so that stands out as one of the
more unique ones.
Yes. I'll say unique. That's a good word.
I do like my toilet paper. So I'm grateful.
Yep. And so do the Ugandan children. They appreciate their toilet paper too.
Bet so. Very good. Okay, so you're with the children's choir, and you're touring all around the United States.
Yep.
One of the coolest places you've been in the United States.
One of the coolest places. I mean, this is going to sound kind of cliche, but the concert we did there's two were in New York. One was in New York City.
Okay.
We did a fundraiser, and we got to meet like the cast of the TV show Friday Night Lights.
Okay.
And the coach from that show, he had us over to his house, and
wow.
We got to spend a couple days there with them, and really cool people. And then also we got to do a concert at West Point at the military academy they have there, and that was really cool too.
Very fun.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're in the children's choir for a year?
Yeah, it was a year and a half. I think we started August of 2010 and ended sometime early 2012.
Okay, 2012. So then what happens next?
So after I was done with that tour, I got back and again was in the kind of the phase of, I don't know what I want to do next.
Right.
And so I worked for my high school basketball coach, who you actually know.
Yes.
And did some, helped him with his football equipment leasing business and did some screen printing of T-shirts and stuff like that while I was looking for what was next. And probably about a year and a half or two, I'd say probably about a year and a half, I got a phone call from the African Children's Choir again, and they were doing a brand new tour of young adults who had previously traveled as little kids, and they wanted to do it. They were going to do a new tour of, they were on their way to college or were in college, and we're going to travel around and sing. And they didn't have a sound person for a few weeks. I want to know if I could come join them. And so I did, and then ended up staying with them for the entirety of their 6-month tour.
Wow.
And it's actually where, at the time I didn't know, but I ended up meeting my future wife.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's where you met Mercy.
Yes. Yep. Actually, the very first person I met, too, because we started in North Carolina, and there's kind of a base house there. And
yes.
We arrived I got there really late at night, and I got there, and she was up still ironing everyone's concert uniforms.
Wow.
And she's like, hey, I'm Mercy. And I was like, hey, how you doing? And yeah, little did I know that was my future wife.
How long did it take for that relationship to develop?
Probably it was a good number of years. I mean, so they went back at the end of that 6-month tour, went back to Kenya or Uganda, wherever they were from, and we just kind of kept a text group open of everyone on there, and we just kind of kept in touch for a few years, and then it was about probably the end of 2014, beginning of 2015 is when I first affiliated with Christian Missionary Fellowship to become a missionary in Kenya.
Okay.
And then when I moved to Kenya, I reconnected with my group of Kenyan friends.
Yes.
And slowly that group of Kenyan friends dwindled down to just Mercy and I. And then before I know it, a couple years later, getting married.
Nice.
That's the short version of it.
The short version. So you were a missionary for how long in Kenya?
About 6 years.
6 years.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're not in the mission field today because...
I'll try to tell the short version of this story too. So we were planning on a 6-month furlough.
Yes.
Came back in August 2021.
Yes.
My wife was pregnant, and our plan was to have our kid here and update our ministry partners on some new ministry opportunities that were presented to us. And I was supposed to go and visit a couple different countries and areas of potential new ministry opportunities. And on our flight over here, my wife had some visa issues that were a little scary, and we called a lawyer after we had landed and gotten settled, and the lawyer said, yeah, she needs to get her green card, like, right away.
Yeah.
And so we kind of started that process, figuring out what that was, but still we're wanting to see if somehow we could get back to the field within that 6-month time frame. And then in September, our son ended up being born 2 months early.
Yes.
And spent 3.5 weeks in the NICU just over here at Riverbend. And we kind of felt like at that time that maybe God was telling us to slow down a little bit, take care of your son's health, take care of your wife's legal papers. And so we decided that it was a hard decision to make.
Yes.
But we decided that it was the right decision, and we felt comfort in that. And at the time, I didn't know what I was going to do because furlough was ending, and I haven't had to apply for a job for a good number of years.
Right.
And so I had to update my resume.
Yes.
And reached out to some people, and then all of a sudden one day, Mike Raz emailed me and said, call me at your earliest convenience. And of course, my head, the way I go is I go, oh, did I not update them on what we're doing? Did I not do a good job of updating our partners?
Yeah.
I was like, oh. So I called him, and he goes, hey, buddy, how you doing? And I was like, good. And he's like, hey, so we got a job opening at the church for a tech person. He's like, I think you'd be great for it. You should apply for it. And I was like, wow, okay. And I did, and now I'm sitting here.
Now you're
talking
sitting
to you in a microphone. Yeah.
Very good.
I couldn't be happier. I'm so blessed.
Let's go back to the mission field.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're happy, by the way. What was your work in the mission field? What did that look like?
So I was in charge of kind of music and music curriculum development and children's ministry.
Okay.
And so we were helping. We started with our church at our main center. Help them develop some children's ministry curriculum, kind of develop a structure.
Okay.
And kind of plans on how to go through camp with a year of curriculum.
Yeah.
So that they were really struggling, and so that was one of our main jobs. And then I helped with some teachers start a music program.
Okay.
At one of our centers, and it ended up thriving. And
good.
I can't take a whole lot of credit for that. The teachers were amazing.
Yes.
And that school ended up placing, I want to say, second or third in the national competition at one point.
Wow.
And so that was really cool. And then I also would help a couple of our big centers and a new school or a camp they're starting at the coast. I helped them get sound systems for their buildings. And
okay.
So it was a lot. The technology there is a lot different than what we got here.
Yes.
And so
yes.
So I spent about 6 years working with some less advanced
yes.
equipment.
Yes.
But it was a lot of fun.
Making it work.
Yes, making it work.
Yes.
And helping them get the best out of their money that they could get. So that was a lot of fun for me.
Okay. What is something about being a missionary that most people don't have a sense of?
I was thinking about this, and I think one of the hardest things is no matter how long you're there, you always kind of realize you're the outsider.
Okay.
Like you're not. No matter how long I live in Kenya.
Yeah.
No matter my wife's Kenyan,
Yes.
my son's half Kenyan. I'll never be Kenyan.
Yeah.
Ever. And I did a pretty good job learning the language and the culture and building relationships. But you're never going to be a Kenyan or wherever you're serving. And
Okay.
so that can be difficult at times because sometimes there will be a cultural disconnect and
Yes.
you just you can get a little discouraged and be like, I don't know what I'm going to do about this.
Right.
And,
Right.
but you learn to deal with it
Okay.
after a certain amount of time. But
Something about the Kenyan culture
Mm-hmm.
that you appreciated that you wish maybe was more of an experience here? Something about their culture that you came to appreciate?
So this was actually a little difficult at first to adjust to, but I learned to enjoy it was the work culture there, at least where I worked and a number of other places that I had been to worked, is relationships come first before work.
Okay.
And so when you get to work,
Yes.
when you first get to work, it's tea time. You have
First
tea.
thing you do.
First thing. You get there, you grab a cup of tea, and you sit down in your office, and you chat with your coworkers and drink your tea.
Okay.
And then after you finish your tea, you get to work. And then about an hour or so before lunch, you have another tea break.
Really?
And you sit down, and you have tea, and you chat with your coworkers again. And then you have lunch.
Do you do that with everyone as well?
Yeah,
Or-
just kind
okay.
of just sit
Yeah.
in your office and have a social time. And then after lunch, you have one more tea. And it's also
Very cool.
this was hard for me too, is that it's seen as disrespectful to show up in someone's office and say, "Hey Barry, could you do this for me?" without first asking them how they're doing, how the day's going, how's your family doing, how are your kids, and then you can ask your
Yes.
question of what you need. And that was so hard for me because I'm so used to showing up being like, "Hey Barry, could we do this at 11 o'clock?"
Yeah.
And instead of being like, "Hey Barry, how you doing?
Yeah.
How's your wife doing?
Yeah.
What'd you think of the sermon on Sunday?"
Yeah. Yeah. I thought it was amazing, by
It
the
was
way.
amazing. and then asking you
Yeah.
for the
No.
favor or thing.
I would be a mess.
Yeah.
It would also mess with me to have to take
It was
tea time 3 times a day. I'm
Yeah.
like, I got things to do.
I always took the
But
tea
I
break.
love that concept.
I always took the tea break, but I got a little tired of the tea after a
Okay.
while. And so I would usually go upstairs and make some coffee on the coffee pot and I'd have
Is
a
that
coffee break.
acceptable?
Yeah, but what's weird is for a country that has some of the best coffee in the world,
Yeah.
they don't like coffee that much.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. But there is a kind of a coffee culture, especially in Nairobi, which is kind of it's the capital, and there's a lot more international folk because
Yes.
of embassies, and the United Nations is there, and
Yes.
so there's a coffee culture that's kind of picked up, and so you can usually find a pretty good coffee spot.
Good. So now let's talk about the job here. So people understand, okay, Joel's responsible for the sound on Wednesday night worship and the Sunday morning. The streaming you're helping with, making sure that's done. Okay, so now what's the rest of the week look like? What are
All
you?
right.
What are some of the things you do day in and day out to occupy your time?
So first thing on a Monday after church is I'll go on and I'll edit the sermon, cut out some of the slides and stuff that we're streaming before, get that loaded to the website, and then I'll make sure the podcast is going. I have to make sure the Pro Presenter stuff is all ready to go for the next week. Fun creative projects like this. Sometimes we'll do devotions, like we did for Easter, and I'm looking forward to doing more of this creative stuff as well.
You bet.
Troubleshoot issues that we may have had on a Wednesday or a Sunday. That can take some time and be a little tricky because actually I've been watching this online conference on tech and development and stuff. And one thing that a guy mentioned and that I connected with was he was talking about how hard it can be to troubleshoot
Yes.
stuff because you notice an issue on a Sunday or whenever you have a service, and then you try to fix it, but you don't know if your fix worked until the next time you have a service because there's no one in the building.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought, oh, that's true. And I'm glad that I'm not the only person who feels that way.
Right.
Yeah. And so I've been doing just a lot of, there was a lot of gremlins in the system
Yep.
when I got here. And so just learning that, been taking some online courses on some of the networking here and how all of that works, worship practice and rehearsals.
Yes.
And
Memorials,
memorials,
services, which we've had several lately.
Yes, and I'm sure eventually weddings.
Yep.
As well. And so there's plenty going on, and I love it.
Good. And you love what most about it?
My two favorite things I'd say about Equal are the creative stuff like
Okay.
this. I enjoy creating the new slide design for the next sermon series whenever that happens. That's
Okay.
fun.
Bumper videos.
Bumper videos.
Yeah.
So the creative stuff is my favorite, and I do love running sound.
Okay.
Running the sound is my favorite, except for when something goes wrong and you have to figure it out instantly.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, I love running sound. It's almost an extension of being a part of the worship team and
You bet.
of course the sermon too, because if no one can hear you, then there's no message going out.
Yeah. And I remember you saying early on to me that you're doing a good job when no one says anything to you.
Yes.
Right? Church, when you think it's going really well, make sure and say something to Joel and say, "Hey, you're doing great." But it is funny, right?
Yeah.
If people you hear from people if things are not going well.
Oh yeah. And I think I mentioned too that it's the one job in the church where your job is to not be noticed.
Yes.
You don't want to be looked at.
Yeah.
If you're being looked at, it's usually for something not good.
What is going on? Okay.
Regardless of whether it's your fault or not.
Right. Could it be louder? Could it not be so loud?
Oh, it can always be louder.
Our folks are going, Good. So I got a question for you.
Yeah.
You had a relationship with Northwood prior because we were one of your supporting churches when you were in the mission field.
Yep.
So you knew Northwood, but now that you've been on staff, you really kind of know Northwood.
Yeah.
What is something you've grown to know about Northwood that you didn't know before?
I kind of knew this before, but it's been reaffirmed since I've been here is how welcoming and loving and really truly I know we say welcome home at the end of every service, but how much of a home it really feels like and like a family. Especially when our son was in the NICU, and that was really stressful.
Yes.
And people that this is before we even knew we were going to stay, or before I having a job here was even on my mind. People would call and reach out to see how we're doing, email me, see how we're doing. And that sort of connection was so important during that time. And I just see that here still happening. And that's not just, and that's something that is built into the culture of this church. And it's incredible.
Oh, that's good. Good. So you're one of the few that has to hear a sermon that I preach 4 times. Now, hear and actually listen, I don't know if those are the same things. Do you notice a difference from one sermon to the other from Wednesday night to the 3 Sundays?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So
just your observation.
I would say Wednesday is the most exciting.
Really?
Because it's brand new.
Yes.
We've put all new slides and everything into the Pro Presenter.
Yeah.
And got all new songs on the worship team.
Yeah.
And it's your first time doing the sermon
or
whoever's preaching.
Right.
And so it's exciting because I'm like, ooh, how's this going to go?
Right.
And then I would say, I mean, they're all good. All the sermons are good. I'm not saying that. I'm not just saying that because you're sitting right next to me.
Yeah.
But let's see.
Otherwise,
second service is usually the one that goes online.
Yeah.
Because
is that because it's typically our fullest, so there's a little more energy, maybe?
I would say so.
Okay.
And usually, if there was some sort of, say, an audio glitch in the first service, we figured it out for the second service.
That makes sense.
and then also first service. Most of the staff's been here since 6 a.m. or something.
Yeah.
So you got to let your coffee get through your system, and then
Get
by
going.
second service, it's kicked in.
Okay. Good thing.
They're all great though.
I'm glad. Okay, let me ask you some of your favorites. I'm just going to
right.
randomly hit you with stuff, okay?
All
Your interest outside of work and family. What's some of your favorite interests or hobbies?
I enjoy sports.
Okay.
What
sports?
Basketball, football, track and field. Those are my three.
And do you like to watch all of them?
Oh yeah. Yep. And in fact, there's track and field world championships this summer. I really want to try to go to. Yeah.
Are you going to go?
I think so. Mercy really wants to go for a few days because there's Kenya. There's Kenyans that are going to be here, and she wants to.
I bet some significant runners.
Yeah. And so we're going to try to go to that. Gone to the Olympic trials a few times when they've been here.
Okay.
So I really love track and field. Basketball and football. And this might get me some comments that I don't want, but I grew up and still am an Oregon State fan.
So, it's okay. I'm a Washington Husky fan.
I saw those in your office, and I was going to say something, but then I thought, you know what? I'm an outsider here too, so I better just keep my mouth shut.
No, I'm really. If they can handle me, we got a lot of Beavers in our church.
Okay, good. They just keep quiet. I'll have to find them.
Yeah.
We can usually find each other.
Yeah. That's because they're more gracious.
Yeah. Yep. That's right. That's right. We have to be because the teams have been so terrible that no other options.
I know.
But
Ducks have just killed the Huskies, at least in football.
Yeah.
So, favorite teams? The Beavers. Who else?
Beavers, Portland Trail Blazers.
Okay.
For basketball. For NFL, I just enjoy watching. I don't really have a favorite team. I usually just enjoy watching teams with players I know that are from, Oregon State or, someone who's really good.
Yeah.
And so I don't really have a favorite NFL team. I just enjoy watching.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the Seahawks, you can make them your favorite.
That's Mercy's favorite team. That's my wife's favorite
that's
team.
because she's brilliant.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
I can go with the Seahawks.
Okay.
I'll say the Seahawks.
Okay.
I said it here.
Okay. What kind of music do you like?
I love rock music.
Rock music.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
And, those are some of my favorites. I really like Mumford and Sons, Angels and Airwaves. Man, put on the spot.
Does it mean that I'm old if I don't even recognize those?
Nope, that's okay. I did grow up. So my dad always had like the Eagles.
Okay.
Now Doobie Brothers.
Okay.
That kind of 70s rock music, which I also still enjoy. I enjoy that. I think just because I grew up with it, I enjoy a lot of that stuff too.
What was a favorite concert you've gone to? Have you been to a concert?
Oh yeah. Lots.
Okay.
College, I used to just go to any concert that was going on.
Okay.
And if I had a free weekend and there was tickets, I would go. So I've been to some terrible ones and some interesting ones. But my favorite, there's an Icelandic band called, I don't even know if I'm going to say it right, Sigur Rós.
Okay.
And they had a concert in Bend in the amphitheater, and there's only like 4 guys in the band, but they had like 25 people on stage playing different instruments and stuff, and I just kept thinking what a nightmare that was for the sound guy.
Yeah.
That's where my mind goes. I can't imagine keeping track of all that stuff.
Okay.
But it was
impressive.
amazing. Yeah. It was a lot of fun.
You've traveled, a lot of places around the United States, in different parts of the world. Mm-hmm. Where's one of your favorite places to travel to?
Okay, I'm gonna leave Oregon off the list.
Is Oregon pretty impressive to you after being everywhere?
It really is. I've been to every state but 5, I believe.
Wow.
If I remember right. 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And it could be because I'm biased towards home.
Sure.
But went to a lot of amazing places. But Oregon, I've always stood out as like, I still think Oregon's one of the best states that I've been to.
Yeah.
But I mean, gosh, we had a lot of fun everywhere. I mean, like Texas was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
A lot of the New England area is beautiful and was a lot of fun. Touring the South, Louisiana, Florida, those places were a lot of fun. And then I've gotten to go to like London. That's a lot of fun. Gosh, every place kind of has their own unique, their own things to love about them.
Yeah.
I wish I could pinpoint an absolute favorite, but
it's okay. When I was in Texas for 3 years when I was going to seminary, and it was then I realized how green Oregon was.
Yes.
Growing up in the Northwest, that's how it is.
Yeah.
And then I was gone for 3 years, came back, and I'm like, I can't believe how green things are here.
I remember that's kind of one of the things I noticed too, especially traveling through the Midwest, spending time in like Kansas and Oklahoma and some of those places where it's very flat and very dry. And then you come to appreciate the mountains and the forests and the greenery that's all year round pretty much.
I'm ready for the rain to go, though.
Me too. It teases us here every...
We had one nice day and then 5 terrible days.
Yeah, I'm ready for that too.
Yes, me too. Okay, favorite movie? Or one you like?
I'm going to sound like a nerd, but I love the Star Wars movies.
Oh, yeah.
And I love the Indiana Jones movies.
Okay.
The original 3. I wasn't a huge fan of the 4th one.
Okay.
But I don't know if, again, it could be one of those things that the Star Wars movies, they re-released them when I was, 8 or 9 years old.
Yep.
And got to go see those in theaters. And some of the first movies I saw in the movie theater. So it's so awesome and exciting. And
that's good.
I think that's just kind of stuck with me my whole life.
I like it. Let's see. What's a favorite memory you have?
Favorite memory? Probably one that really stands out was when I was with the African Children's Choir, and we were in Michigan. And this church we stayed at paid for us to go to a theme park.
Oh, wow.
It was like Six Flags. I think it was called Michigan Adventures or something like that. Anyways, huge roller coasters. And these kids have never been on a roller coaster.
Did they like it?
So the look of terror in their eyes when we would tell them, when they would say, are we going on that one? I say, yeah, aren't you excited? And just the look of, oh, no. And we would say, we didn't ever force them, but we would just say, I promise if you do it one time, you'll really enjoy it. And I think they all did it, and they all enjoyed it. And so that was a fun experience that you don't get to have every day.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they all enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I have a son. I said, you'll love it if you'll go. And he went on it and said, I didn't love anything about it.
They could have been lying.
Yes.
Just so I wouldn't force them to go on any more roller coasters.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I did it. I'm good.
I did it. That was really fun.
That was so much fun. But I'm good.
I'm going to go to the water park or whatever.
That's good. What is one of your biggest fears?
This is going to sound childish, but ever since I was a kid, I hate spiders.
Oh, yeah.
I hate spiders.
Okay.
And I was the kid who loved to play in the dirt. I loved to play with insects, catch grasshoppers.
Yeah.
But if I saw a spider, I was out of there.
Yeah.
And when I was in Kenya, we were doing a VBS at one of our super remote schools up north.
Yes.
And the hotel we were staying in, I had my own room, and I was laying there in my bed and on my laptop or phone or something, and he was trying to go to sleep. And out of the corner of my eye, I thought I saw something move. And so I get up and I go and turn the lights on and look, and I'm not exaggerating. There was a spider in the corner the size of my hand.
Wow.
Just standing there. And my heart started pounding. I started sweating. And I called my coworkers in the room next to me, and I said, Pat. Oh, I had a can of bug spray in my room, but it was empty too. And so that didn't help. And not that, I don't know that bug spray would work on a spider anyways, but it's all I had. I was desperate. And I called my coworker, and I was not taking my eyes off it. I was like, Pat, I need your can of bug spray right now. I was like, there's a huge spider in my room. He's like, okay. Comes over, opens the door, and goes, oh, wow, that is a big spider. And I sprayed it with the bug spray. It fell down. I got my shoe, and I just wailed on it. And the next day, we were eating breakfast, and I told one of the staff there about the spider I saw, and they're like, oh, yeah, those are fine. Those ones are harmless. I'm like, I don't care.
Not in
if
my
it's
room.
the size of my hand, it's not.
Did you sleep well that night?
No, not at all. Terrible. And you keep thinking you're seeing things or hearing
feeling
things.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was horrible.
I can handle spiders.
Yeah.
Snakes is for me. Snakes. I don't like snakes.
You and Mercy. My wife hates snakes. She hates snakes on the TV. She hates snakes on anything, despises them.
No, there's a reason that the enemy first showed up as a snake.
That's what she says. That's why my wife always says, there's a reason God removed their legs. I'm like, oh, okay.
It's hilarious. What's one of your least favorite chores around the house?
Doing dishes. And for some reason, and well, I can tell you why my parents did this, but my whole life growing up, we moved into a new house, probably 7th grade, I think, 8th grade, and there was no dishwasher in it. And so my brothers and I always had to do the dishes, and we would fight over who had to wash them, who had to dry them, who had to put them away.
What would you rather do of those three?
I think put them away or dry them. No, drying them.
Dry. Okay.
Yeah, I liked drying them, but I was the oldest, so I mostly had to wash them. But then as soon as my brothers and I were all out of the house, my parents bought a dishwasher. I said, why did you wait till we were gone?
You guys left.
And my dad's like, well, we had 3 dishwashers in the house at one point, and then we didn't have any.
Right. That makes complete sense to me.
So washing dishes has always been my
least
favorite thing.
All right. Let's go one more.
All right.
What is something that most people don't know about Joel?
I like to write my own music and record it.
Okay.
And I have a YouTube channel that I put songs on.
You do?
I do.
You have your own YouTube channel.
Yes. And sometimes I'll just do a cover song with my wife.
Okay.
There's probably, I don't know, it's not a ton. I'm very picky and self-conscious over things that I do, so I only post something if I'm like semi-confident that it's okay.
Okay. So how would someone find your YouTube channel?
I can probably post a link somewhere in this video when we're done, but I think if you just searched Joel Brock, I'm a tech guy.
Do you have to say it that way? Joel Brock.
Well, I'm trying to think.
Question mark.
I'm a tech guy, and now I'm trying to even remember what my YouTube name is. I don't know.
Okay.
If you search my name, there's a picture of me.
Okay. So look for Joel Brock that looks like you.
I'll post a link somewhere in this video, and you can click on that.
Very good. All right. Any final word you want to have?
I look forward to the future. I'm so blessed to be here, and I'm grateful for...
How long are you going to be with us?
Who knows?
Okay.
I've stopped trying to predict the future.
Okay.
I thought we were only going to be in the U.S. for 6 months, and we'll at least be here for a few years.
Okay.
And maybe longer. Maybe we'll love it so much that this is our new mission field.
There
right
you
here
go.
in Northwood.
I like it.
Yep.
I'm sorry I interrupted. Anything else you want to say?
No, I love you guys. I thank you so much for how welcome you've made me feel, my wife, and my family. And I look forward to lots of good times in the future.
Church, thank you for watching this episode of BTS. If you have other creative ideas or thoughts, send it to us. We will certainly be doing these on a more regular basis. Not only a chance to get to know staff, but just to know some of the behind-the-scenes things happening at Northwood and just things that we think you might be interested in. So thank you again for watching. Have a great day, whatever that day is for you, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time. God bless.